Hello, my name is Rocky Vatananan, and today I am presenting the impacts of overfishing for global food systems, Project B. First of all, what is overfishing? Overfishing is the act of removing a species of fish from a body of water at a rate that is faster than the speed at which the species are reproducing. This would deplete the natural populations of that species within the area. Currently, overfishing is a worldwide issue, with numbers of overfished stocks or overfished habitats tripling over the past 50 years. This is largely caused by the intensity and the scale at which aquatic life is being removed from their habitat to be used directly as animal inputs for processing or distribution within the physical flow of different food systems, specifically the seafood system and the seafood markets. Next, the impacts. In terms of environmental impacts, populations of various fish species are decreasing. And this doesn't necessarily only apply to species that we intentionally catch, but also unwanted species that are essentially caught by accident, called bycatch. Further environmental implications of overfishing is the artificial selection pressure that overfishing forces on the fish to become smaller. Larger fish, generally, are deemed desirable and are caught more often than smaller fish. So, there will be more smaller fish left in the ocean which will survive and reproduce. Therefore, there will be more smaller fish that are reproducing than larger individuals. This would cause generations of fish down the line to become smaller as well, due to their small parents. Another consequence is the ecological imbalance that overfishing can cause, where the other species are also indirectly affected. A simple example of this is if there are less prey species in an area, for example tuna, from overfishing, the predator species such as sharks and the like that feed on the prey species will have a smaller food source and possibly starve and decrease their numbers as well. Or another example is, with more fish gone, the populations of plankton may increase significantly, as there are less fish that feed on them. And this itself can cause other complications in the aquatic ecosystem. Finally, the impacts on the food system itself. If overfishing continues into the future and populations of viable fish continue to decrease, the quantity of the biophysical inputs in the form of these caught sea life will also decrease. If nothing is done or changed within the seafood system, the product outputs will most definitely decrease also in terms of the quantity. So, in order to meet the demand, certain aspects of the seafood system must change, such as longer fishing durations, for example, which would mean higher costs or more investments for labor, energy, or other resources, which would in turn raise the prices of the many end products that the seafood system manufactures. Another consequence of commercial overfishing is a social one. The dwindling sea life could directly affect the lives and livelihood of populations on the coast, who depend on the ocean and fishing for both income and nutrition. To conclude, overfishing is an issue that is very likely to be its own undoing, as more and more fish population becomes smaller, both in terms of their numbers and also in the size of each fish, due to the artificial selection pressure. Catching wild fish may no longer be profitable in the future if this trend continues, and alternatives will have to be arranged to ensure that catching fish in the wild is still viable. All of the information that I've used for this presentation can be found in an article appropriately titled Overfishing at World Wildlife's website, with the URL that is on screen. That is the conclusion of this presentation. Thank you.